Hello and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Yesterday our picks were not the greatest. We had a Toronto-Vancouver over 6 goals. It was 3-2 after overtime. Vancouver took a victory after they had a 3-week layoff from the action because of the COVID protocols. And say that their goalkeeper Brandon Holtby was man of the match there. He stopped quite a few Toronto opportunities, and overall the shot total in this game was 63. So with the standard 90% saving percentage, this would go to 6 goals, but this time Holtby was better than average, and he stopped most of the Toronto's attempts. Another game, Washington in Boston. This was back and forth all the way. Washington won at the end 6-3. They scored last one to the empty net and show that they are really coming back to top of the division and maybe top of the league as well. If they continue this kind of show, they will have good chances in for a long playoff run like they have been used to in many springs. Tommy, any explanations here?
A little bit disappointing game from Toronto in Vancouver against a team that has was gone for a long time, not playing. I think Toronto should have put a little bit more effort in the offense and turning the game over faster in order to get to better chances and score a couple of goals. Holtby played a good game in the goal for Vancouver, but I still think a lot of it was due to Toronto's maybe being a little bit overconfident like we usually are here. So they were maybe thinking the same way that they're going to score an easy 4-5 goals there. They didn't because of the goaltender. Vancouver then improved as the game went on, like expected when you've had a long break. So Vancouver did deserve the win in the end because they played a lot more solid defense than what was expected and what they've usually done. So a learning lesson for Toronto here. Because of the way they are playing, they do need to score the goals and not make it this sort of defensive battle because they're not good enough to do that. But I do think that they will learn their lesson, and now we see a couple of goals from Auston Matthews and the other heavy offensive guys that Toronto has. So a bit of a bad pick, but 63 shot total, could have gone over 6 goals easily as well. And in the second game, we had Boston against Washington, 2 of these juggernauts in the East. Now this time Boston showed that don't poke the bear. They took the win in a very impressive manner. Of course, the first line of Boston was now definitely on fire. Couldn't be contained by the Capitals, but also when they now have more depth down the line, it's a very difficult team to play against. Tuukkaras, great game in the goal. So a little bit disappointing from our point of view, thinking that Washington could challenge a little bit better. But Boston was a better team, so let's be aware of this now and let's see how the simulations will react to this, that Boston is now playing better and better when the playoffs are coming closer. So I do think we're going to see still an improvement from Bruins, but also Capitals. This is the sort of loss that probably they need in order to wake up and realize that, okay, you can't just go and play against Boston the same way you do against Buffaloes or New Jersey Devils, because now it's a competition on top of this division.
Speaking about Buffalo and New Jersey, Buffalo took a home victory against Pittsburgh with relatively good performance this time, and then New Jersey at home couldn't match New York Rangers push that has been a story of the last few weeks. Do you think Pittsburgh and Rangers will face each other as a final contenders of the fourth playoff spot in the East Division?
Yeah, that could be. The simulations have shown Rangers along the season. Pre-season, we thought they would do better. as was with the Flyers. But Rangers have now started to play better and better when the season is getting to its end. Pittsburgh, we did not predict to make the playoffs, which was a big surprise, of course. But this sort of veteran team, now they've been without Evgeny Malkin for a while. This sort of loss to Buffalo is hurting, but like the Boston beating Washington, losing to Buffaloes of this league will probably wake up this sort of team like Penguins are, that they have the quality to fight for the playoff spot, but maybe against these lesser teams sometimes the concentration isn't there. But now it does have to be. You have 10 or so games soon left, and you do have to beat these lesser teams. So I do think Penguins will wake up from this sort of loss, and Rangers have done so well now for the past couple of weeks, actually, that they are in the contest as well. So it will be very interesting to see which team will rise to the occasion, or will it be Penguins again, just taking the easy enter to the playoff, as they have a couple of past seasons, maybe not performed very well, but still managed to make it to the postseason.
Yeah, currently Islanders, Penguins and Rangers have played 45 games. Islanders have 60 points, Penguins 59 and Rangers 52, so they are 7 points behind Pittsburgh right now. Boston Bruins is the middle of this fight, and they have played 2 games less than these teams and have 56 points. So if Boston continues to play like we've seen yesterday, they may have upper hand here, and Pittsburgh cannot just rely on that their performance in November, or no, not this year, but in January can lead them to the playoffs.
Yeah, Boston has now won 4 in a row, same as the Rangers have won 4 in a row. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, only won 3 out of their last 5 games, losing to Buffalo, also lost to Philadelphia Flyers in the penalties. So Pittsburgh may be not the trendy team at the moment, and Boston and Rangers are the ones pushing, but we'll see how it goes.
Tonight there is no games in East Division, but we have good slate of games from the Central Division, and we have one of our picks, actually both of our picks from the Central Division. Chicago goes to Nashville. Both teams are still middle of the playoff race. Nashville has maybe a bit better trend compared to Chicago, but Chicago also won last game 4-0 against Detroit. Both teams have a good goaltending, most probably Finnish one this time. Kevin Lankinen, Chicago, Juuso Saros, Nashville have played very well recently, especially Saros have kept Nashville in the game for many previous games, and both teams have also some kind of defensive DNA. Nashville especially, that usually results unders. This matchup earlier this season have been played 5 times, and 5 of those games have been under, so good value with minus 109 odds. Then top matchup in Central Discovery Division, Carolina goes to Tampa. Carolina won twice at home during the weekend against Nashville. Now they go to Florida and try to match the Stanley Cup winner in this game, but Tampa is maybe still the team to beat, and reasonably high odds, minus 114, provides good value for home team in this game of the night.
Yeah, definitely great games, both of these. Now Tampa Bay, the best team still in this league, I do think. They've had their struggles. They've lost to Detroit. They have been a little bit off at times, but now they're facing their maybe the biggest rivals this season, possibly Panthers as well. But Carolina seems to be the one team that they do need to beat in order to take the throne of this division. So I think Tampa Bay will show up, and now they do have to play their best game of the season to beat the Carolina team. Carolina played really well against Nashville, but when you compare Nashville and Tampa Bay, the teams are quite different. So against Nashville, it is pretty much enough. If you take control of the puck, you don't let them turn the puck over and get easy chances. Against Tampa Bay, that won't be enough. So I do think Tampa is just that much better team than Carolina at the moment, and they will take what is theirs at the home ice. In the simulations, we have Tampa Bay winning 57.2%, and the odds indicate around 53.7. So small value, but value still for what I think is still the best team in this league. And then when you take a look at the Nashville-Chicago game, it's this sort of pick that we would make 100 times out of 100 games because of the goaltending and because, like you mentioned it nicely, the DNA of these teams. Both are pretty defensive. Chicago maybe not so much, but this season has shown that they don't have the offensive prowess to fight against these teams that are heavy scoring. So they will play through the defense and try to shut down Nashville, which, like I just mentioned, will be done by just taking care of the puck, and that's something that Chicago can do. So I do think this is a 2-2 game at the maximum. Not a lot of scoring for either team, except a couple of times when we picked the under and Nashville has scored 7. But I don't think they will do that, especially if Kevin Lankinen is playing. So great goaltenders, Juuse Saros, Kevin Lankinen, great defensive teams. I do think it's a 2-2 kind of issue and maybe overtime this time. In the simulation, 62.5% going under, so great value with those odds.
Do you think there's any other games that have some good value? There are some home teams with numbers that are favoring those teams. Edmonton plays against Montreal in Alberta, as well as then another Alberta team, Calgary, tries to win Ottawa at home. And then third home favorite, not favorite but value here, is Arizona that faces Minnesota in the desert. So do you think these three home teams make sense to bet tonight?
I have my doubts against Arizona, as I've had all season. Minnesota has been the surprise team of that division for sure. They've played really well. Now when the playoffs are arriving, they are maybe trying to figure out different ways to win. They are also playing quite defensively usually. Arizona has always played defensively. They don't have a lot of superstar offensive players except for Phil Kessel, of course. I do think it's going to be quite a low-scoring game, unlike the simulations, which indicate a high-scoring 6-goal game with 58% probability. So I'm a bit against the simulations here, but we do have Arizona against Minnesota as a coin flip of a game, and the value there is for Arizona with the plus 125 odds, while the simulations show 48% for the home team. But I do think Minnesota at the moment is probably a team that I wouldn't play against, even if the simulations would show that. And the two other home teams, home favorites in the Canadian division, not a very good odds for them, but great value still. Calgary facing Ottawa. Calgary is now fighting for their playoff chances. Ottawa's season is pretty much done, but we've seen how bad Calgary has been at home. So a bit careful there, but we do have 74% for the home win. The odds are minus 218. So they're there if it's worth playing, but there is value of a couple of percent. And the same thing, Edmonton facing Montreal. And Montreal, of course, a team that we've been playing against quite a bit. Let's see, Edmonton has been a little bit let down lately. They're maybe missing a little bit of that offensive prowess they had early in the season. Now struggling a bit, so let's see how it goes. We do have them 54.3% favorites, while the odds indicate 53.9. So there is a less than a percentage for Edmonton at home against Montreal.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how Calgary responds now after their loss in Montreal, because there are 2 games behind Montreal and 6 points behind. So it would take a basically miracle for them to win if they don't improve the performance pretty much immediately. And Montreal maybe can cruise to the playoffs by winning Ottawa's and Vancouver's here and there, but then take a beating by Edmonton, Winnipeg, and Toronto.
Yeah, that would be enough for Montreal, but I do think Calgary is now in this situation that they do have to win, especially if they're playing these Ottawas. Maybe they are able to lose if they still play against Toronto or Winnipeg, but that's about it. So you have to get the points now, and there is no excuse for that. They have already changed their head coach. They've changed a lot the way they play, so now they have to start showing up. And there is 12 games left in this season if they are not winning pretty much all of the games.
Yeah, that's interesting division for basically the last playoff spot. Would it be Montreal like it looks like right now, or will Calgary or maybe Vancouver make a miracle at the end? Vancouver has quite a few games to be played during this last period of the season, and they are 10 points behind Montreal right now, and 10 points is of course 10 points, but when you have 4 games less, you can catch up that 10 points quite easily if you are on fire.
Yeah, not gonna be a lot of off days for Vancouver, so hopefully they did recharge their batteries during this hiatus of 3 weeks. So it will be a very congested fixture list for them, less than a month, and you have 18 games to be played. So hard to see them actually winning enough to reach the playoffs anymore.
Let's see how they do. They don't have a game tonight, but tomorrow they are back in business. But tonight we have good games. First of all, Tampa against Carolina. We'll see which team is the best in the Central Division right now. There is Carolina, but by winning at home, Tampa will take the number 1 spot in the division.
Yeah, great games tonight all over.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.